What is going on, everybody? We are back with a brand new show, a part of the Real Fans feed, and this is the first episode of Real Fans FC. Obviously, all you guys know me, but let me introduce the new co-host, Adam. Introduce yourself.
My
and
name's
Tyler.
Yo, what's
Oh
good?
wait. All right, go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, we all know each other from working at Inter Miami, so we just thought it would be a good idea to start this podcast. So we brought in some fresh faces. Tyler, you want to go?
Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Inter Miami here. But that's just the MLS teams. We all got our own European squads. You know, me.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I think it's pretty obvious with what's behind me right now. I think it's pretty obvious my European club.
It's a little blurry, but what is it for the audio listeners?
Arsenal. The current league leaders, but we'll talk about that later.
It's a good year for Adam, obviously.
Yeah, after a lot of pain.
What was that, Tyler?
I said it's a good year for you in La Liga, just not European competitions.
Yeah, I don't know. Obviously, you guys know my team in Europe is Barca. But we're all Inter Miami fans, obviously. And speaking of Inter Miami, let's talk about the first week of MLS. Obviously, this was a big year for MLS. There was the brand new Apple deal. We all got to see the first look, kind of got to mess with it, deal with it. Overall, what I thought it was pretty cool. Obviously, there's some kinks to work out. I don't know. What do you guys think of it so far?
I want to, first I want to talk about the negatives because there were definitely a few that comes to mind.
I don't
know. We lost Tyler for a second. He's back.
Yeah. I don't like, I'm sure they have top teams and teams that, they have their hierarchy, but I did not like our commentators, at least for the Inter Miami game. Thought it was very bland and lackluster. There were some audio glitches at times. On the TV because it was just so bright. Some people who were not at the game, Inter Miami game, were complaining because of the jerseys. They were like, I couldn't tell who scored. In person, it wasn't so bad, but that was definitely an issue. And then my biggest issue has to be the highlight system. I understand they want to keep everything on Apple TV, but not having highlights the way they used to with the MLS posting all the highlights on YouTube right after the game, I think you're going to lose out on a lot of fans there who just want to, see what's going on. You got some of the clubs. I noticed DC United posted their highlights. So hopefully we get more of that, but I'd like to see them take a broad approach and not just close it all into Apple. But that's just the negatives. I think there's a lot of potential, especially with the money involved.
Yeah, I thought Inter Miami had the worst broadcast out of anybody, sadly. It's like, of course us.
That's kind of what I was thinking too. Even what I've seen on like the highlights, like it didn't seem bad for everyone else. It actually seems okay. It didn't seem so bad, but it was like, why do they mess up our broadcast so much?
But even like St. Louis being the newest team, ours was so bad. Like our commentating, I felt was so dry. Like even whenever we took like a good shot on goal, or even when we scored a goal, it was just like,
yeah, just like I said, it was very bland, but it's always going to feel like that when you go from Ray Hudson.
I was about to say that. I think we went from having probably the best commentator in the league to having whoever the hell that was. Yeah, I agree. It was so boring. And then on top of that, like you said, it was like overset, like not saturated, but like the brightness was just way too high, like to where the pink almost looked white.
No other streams looked like that.
It was terrible. Terrible.
So at first I was like, so they got to work it out. They got to find some consistency. Definitely you could tell there was a difference in quality between our broadcast and other broadcasts. But hopefully they'll improve upon that because we need fans of all clubs to be able to have the same experience. I thought that's what this is going to be about. So if they can't figure that out in a few weeks, then a lot of more people are going to be complaining and they're not going to get people signing up.
Yeah, and I think another thing too was that apparently too our radio broadcast. I didn't obviously for some reason, which I don't know why, but like you also can't get the feed on your radio broadcast either on the replay. You can only get it live. And even what people were saying who watched it, they said that our radio broadcast had like hot mics and stuff that when Karen Gibbs came on for the pregame, that like you could barely understand anything he was saying. And I'm like, bro, we're just like so bad right now. And yet we're the team that's supposed to be linked with Messi, but yet like we can't even like clean up our act.
Oh
But
yeah, absolutely.
yeah. And then I will say the one last negative when you talk about the positives is just like the being able to find the match replay was a nightmare. It took me forever to figure it out. Tyler tried. Tyler was struggling. He was messaging in our group chat.
Yeah, I gave up. I just
awful.
went onto our club, and then it said last match, and I said, all right, I'll try that, and it worked. But that was the way to do it, is just to go to the club. But it was difficult at first.
It sent me to like I think it was 7.5 minute like video of just like
the highlight
starting lineups, and then it was like just the highlights, and then it was it. And then I had to like go down and find like the button to give you like 5 different options. And
that's funny because I couldn't even find the highlights, and then here you are getting the highlights, and you can't find the full match.
So the highlights took the next day. So once the next day came, you could the replay button, which doesn't make any sense to me. Why not just add the second button? Because if you went to the match right after, like that same night, it would be the replay. But then the next morning, it switched it to the recap. And I found the replay based off when I watched the recap, when you hit down to like info and like up next or whatever, it showed the replay there. I didn't even know the other route that Tyler found until like a couple hours later. I found it through that way. And then I just went to like continue watching when I didn't finish it. But I mean, like I said, they're still working out the kinks. So hopefully it can get good. Did you guys get a chance to see any of the national MLS stuff? I didn't get a chance to see the 360 show, but I did see the wrap-up show they did I think the following day. And that was pretty good. I thought they did a really good job, like a 30-minute show, just like wrapping up everything that happened.
Yeah, I think that has to be one of their biggest positives. I think so far with their overall coverage, when they do even the team profiles that they did, I thought even though they weren't very showy and they're just kind of two people talking, they, I'll be honest, I actually really like Andrew Wiebe. So the fact that they have him back for Apple TV is great. I think he's actually one of the better Americans who does specifically MLS. I think he's an MLS guy. So it's good to have those kinds of people, who've been there and who've been talking about the MLS for years now. They're not just throwing in some new people because they got flashy money. They're giving us the guys who actually know what they're talking about and are bringing what we want to hear.
Yeah, no, I didn't catch the wrap up. I caught a little bit of the 360. The 360 view is dope. But I don't know. All in all, though, like based on this topic, though, like we have a 10-year deal, right, with Apple TV.
Yeah,
they have that killer nice studio. I mean, I know it's only
that studio's nice.
Yes, it is.
That's probably like I'm not even like joking. That's like one of the best studios in sports. Like
they got the money with them. Good. They got them. That's a big positive is the money behind it.
Yeah.
Is the production, even if they have some kinks, they're gonna figure it out. They're gonna try and boost that production value to where we know it should be for Apple.
Yeah, and I know it's only been a week, but they obviously have time to work out their kinks. I just hope they do, especially being a 10-year deal. So
I think their goal in like 5 years from now is they're going to have like a national show, like every day of the week leading up to the week. And then teams are also tasked with building their own studios and creating their own content. I think Inter Miami is actually going above and beyond. Like they created a whole set and everything to do pre-games and whatnot. It was kind of hard to find like the pregame show, not the pregame, the like the lead up, like the previews, the match previews, because you had to like go to the specific game. But I was hearing a lot of people flaming the 360 show because of the commercials and like goals are being scored during the commercials. And then also, they were talking too much. And then I don't know if you guys saw it on Twitter. There's this like iconic screenshot of like they put the camera on all the analysts staring at the screen, but not the actual game itself. So like it's like somebody standing in front of the TV. I thought that was so stupid, and people were roasting him for it.
Well, they should be because they have an easy standard. NFL Red Zone does it perfectly, and any sport who wants to do the same thing, they just have to copy that. That's it. That's all you have to do. There's no secret formula there. You don't have to be special. You don't have to be creative. Just do that. That's what people want. So that's what the show needs to be. And
I
I didn't
get, like,
catch it,
adding-
but I did see what you were talking about. I didn't catch
Yeah.
the show, but I saw that and I heard the complaints. So I can't speak too much on that. But
And I get like adding like Apple's got to make money back some way or another. Even though to me, I think this is a test for like something bigger that they're trying to pull. I don't know if it may be like MLB or like Premier League or whatever. I think they're using MLS as a testing bed, but like you shouldn't have commercials. Like it should be like, I mean, even the NFL, which is known for having the most commercials out of any sport, Red Zone is the one thing you can go to watch nothing. It's just pure football constantly. And MLS should be the same way.
And not to cut you off, but especially being a paid prescription, unless you have like T-Mobile, obviously, but like it being a paid subscription and then you still have like commercials interrupting it. Like NFL Red Zone is a paid subscription and there's no commercials. So it's like, you know what I mean? I don't really understand. I don't know how much the MLS season pass is because I have T-Mobile, obviously, so I don't know. But I mean, yeah, I'd be pissed off if I'm paying, let's say, $99 for the whole year.
it is somewhere around that. It's like $100.
It's $99 with no app. If you have no Apple subscription, no Apple TV subscription, and then it's $80 if you do have an Apple TV subscription.
Yeah, it's like like 15, 10, $20 cheap or something like that. But
plus you have the games and the other shows to put commercials. You have the half times, you have the other
exactly. Halftime, that's what it's for.
Pre-games, you have the pre-games to do your other shows like that are throughout the week, like put an ad middle of there. Like I'd rather you do that.
But people complain about that's something that it's not just Apple. I've heard people complaining. I don't know if you guys have been into it, but they've the recent Rolex 24-hour was on Peacock for American viewers, and people were paying who pay for Peacock were switching, going on their VPN and switching to like Europe so they could watch it on the official IMSA feed, and there were way fewer ads. It was incessant. It was every like 5-10 minutes they're like, all right, we'll come back, and people were like, I pay for this. So it's something that you need to find a balance. If you're gonna need to do commercials, and people are paying for the service, you got to figure out your medium.
Yeah, I think we could all say I think we all generally loved it. It's honestly awesome to see the league actually get covered like this, though. Like it's unlike anything we've ever seen before. Like it's
a lot of potential.
And like I said, if you can make it like a true network and fill out the weeks, I do agree with you on the YouTube thing. You can't abandon your YouTube. Like that is so huge. I mean, dude, you can look at any other sports league out like soccer or any other. Like YouTube is such a driving force for like
look at
YouTube's such a driving force for like highlights.
They started posting
millions of views.
Millions.
Even like the Premier League where you have Peacock, like they have extended highlights, 15-minute highlights. Like I do think MLS should have I would like to see longer highlights personally. I like the 15-minute highlights. I feel like I get a little bit more out of it than just the 7. But nonetheless, it's still pretty awesome. But let's get into the games itself. So obviously we had the brand new expansion club, St. Louis. Did you guys get to see any of the highlights for this game or like see anything?
I did see some of the highlights.
There was one big error that happened on that game.
It was one of the first highlights that I watched, so I'm not super fresh on them, but I'm very, very impressed. Austin is a great team, so to win, you know how hard it is with expansion teams, all expansion teams coming in. It may seem like it's easy and you have all these players handed to you and all these big signings, but it's tough to get your foot in the ground. When you're just starting out, you have to build that identity, that club identity. You look at teams across Europe who are rediscovering their form, like Arsenal. It's because they have come together and they believe that they can win. When you're a new team, there's a lot of question marks. So the fact that they can come out there against a proven Austin side and just get and sneak out that dub, that's a big thing for them. They may not be the greatest team in the league, but they're showing that they belong, and there's nothing better than you can ask for an expansion team to win a game like that.
Also, I don't know if you guys saw like the hype around the team in St. Louis.
It's great.
They have a 30,000 people wait list for season tickets.
You don't see that kind of stuff unless you're in Europe. That's European levels.
They sold out season tickets in under a minute. That is wild. Like, I think they said something about
whenever we were leaving the stadium. I think I told you, I think it was like 63,000 were sold, and I think that was like included the waiting list as well. So
that is wild. That isn't like Adam's like that is Europe. Like these new franchises that are coming in, like have not disappointed. Honestly, like you have Austin coming in with strong fan bases. Charlotte coming in, breaking the attendance record, 75,000. Also, speaking of Charlotte, real quick, just had the highest attendance for the league last past week was 69,000. Like Atlanta, like Nashville, like it's wild. Like how like these cities you would never think would be big soccer cities, and it's awesome. But like back to the game, obviously Austin made errors. Austin should be a better team. I think a lot of people are worried about them, but I don't think they should be. Obviously that the defender, my mind's drawing a blank on him. He ended up passing it back straight to the attacker, and he just took a one-on-one shot with him and the goalie, and he buried it. But I don't know if you guys saw the third goal from St. Louis, their new striker Klaus. I'm not sure where he comes from.
He's Brazilian.
He's Brazilian. Man,
well, at least according to FOTMOB, they said he's Brazilian, but with the name of Klaus, wonder when your family arrived.
But man, he hit the outside of the foot, like cross the goal. That
I do remember seeing. I mean, that's just crazy for them.
That was absolute class. A lot of people are predicting that he's going to really take off in the league this year. But that was awesome. Tyler, what'd you get out of the game? Did you see it?
I didn't see it, no, but I did see. Obviously, I saw Charlotte's second and third goals. The second being that mistake from Austin passing it back, and I think right then and there that gave them the spark they really needed to find that third goal. I didn't see the first, so I don't really know. But I mean, St. Louis being the newest team, I know there was a few academy players. Like I think the defender that passed it back from Austin was a St. Louis academy player, as a matter of fact. And St. Louis well-deserved 3 points. I don't really see why fans are really worried about Austin, especially given their performance last season. They were definitely holding it down. I think they were top three in their top two in their
second. Yeah, and made Champions League, and people are having them as title contenders. I mean, I think
nothing to worry about with Driussi on your team. Nothing to worry about.
Guy, he's my MVP pick. I already know Tyler's lushes over Hani Mukhtar, but like to me, Driussi is next level, bro. That guy, he is my MVP pick by far. Like, but that like I said, great job by Austin.
Or St. Louis.
St. Louis. Yeah, great job by St. Louis. Now I was talking to, I don't know if I got to catch, obviously MLS as a whole this past week had crazy last minute goals. Very few games, I think maybe outside of the Miami game, and can't think of another one. Oh, the Nashville, New York game. Everything came down within the last 10 minutes. And this one was one of them. The Atlanta game, Thiago Almada bags in 2 goals in the 90th extra time minutes. Absolutely insane. Both from outside the box, one a free kick. The dude is unreal. He is the first active MLS player to win a World Cup. Granted, he didn't really play that much outside of some like garbage time minutes, But nonetheless, it's still a big accomplishment to even have a guy picked to be a part of a World Cup squad. I think that is a big deal and should be celebrated. He was
especially being
the
that.
highest, yeah, and he was the biggest incoming transfer purchase ever for MLS. I believe he came in at 19 million. But do you
Unreal
guys
for an
think
MLS.
do you guys think he will be here come summertime?
Whew, that's an interesting one. If
'Cause
he
he played amazing
if
last
he
night.
continues, if he plays like that almost every game, then there's no chance he stays in the MLS. I mean, he's 22 years old. I mean, like you said, called up to the World Cup at 22 years old. That's not because he's some veteran who just deserves to be there
21
on
years
merit.
old, actually.
It's because he is seen by the coach and by the federation as someone who is part of the future. You got to get those types of players into the World Cup and getting some minutes, even if it is garbage time. So I think that's a big thing for him. And you know, even if he hasn't played that much, you got to think, what kind of confidence does he have right now, coming off of being a part of that team, representing your country, and having that gold medal around your neck? Now coming to the MLS as this, one of the superstars. You have the world at your feet. Even if it's just the MLS, you feel like you perform here at a high level, and you have a career at the very top.
Especially with the outgoing transfers. I think MLS had the third, when it comes to value, had the third most outgoing transfers in the world in terms of money.
Yeah, they've been
Like that,
exporting a lot of players, and you got to think, with a 22-year-old, this isn't some old player, 21-year-old, as you said, that they're just bringing over to live out the rest of his career. That's money they're going to get back if they sell him. That 19 million, if he's good enough to go over Europe, you think he's going for anything less than 20 million? No way. No way.
no.
So
I mean, he could have went
value's
straight
there.
to Europe. He
You're
could have
right.
went straight to Europe.
You're right.
And the fact that he chose MLS was huge. I mean, I think he's not going any less than 30 million.
Yeah, and I'm sure he's
I was
making
hearing
good
people
money.
say, and
I'm
I
sure
can
he's
see
making
this
some
happening.
good money by being in the MLS too.
Yeah, I really think if he scores 6 more goals, that man's out of here by June and July. If he scores 6 more goals,
especially like those.
yeah.
I mean, but
And-
he's a
and
special
like
player.
five more assists. Like,
Let's put it like this:
the dude is insane.
he sticks around the entire season, and he will definitely give Driussi a run for your money for MVP.
At a number 10 position too.
Given that he performs consistently like
Oh,
this.
of course. That's that's what we're talking about. Giving Nikki, But I think that I don't see why he wouldn't. The confidence is high. Like I said, you just came off probably one of the greatest moments of any player's career, winning a World Cup.
And it's that natural progression too. Because I mean, even last year when I saw him come in, I watched a few games. I didn't watch every Atlanta game, but I watched him here or there, obviously in the Eastern Conference. He looked solid. He wasn't like mind blowing yet, but he was still 20 years old, coming over to a new league that is drastically different from Argentine league. So, and now he's, like I said, seems to find his footing. I did see a question posted up on Twitter, and I thought it was a good topic to bring up. It was by the handle MLS Moves. He said, "Who do you think will sell more, Ricky Puig or Thiago Almada?" Because Ricky Puig, if he keeps on playing like he's playing, he's going to get sold again. He's going to get sold over.
Yeah, for sure.
He said he thinks Ricky Puig is going for like 40 million, which I think is really high. And he has Puig being more valuable than Thiago Almada. I don't think that at all. I think Puig might go for 20 mil if he continues to play how he plays, and given his history. And I think Thiago Almada, because he's such an unknown and he has had no downside so far, and the sky's just the limit, he's going to be like 30 plus.
Yeah, I think in terms of potential, and I think you look at what clubs in Europe have been spending on players like that. I think Thiago is definitely the player with the most upside if you were going to ask me from a chief scouting standpoint, at least if you look at value, winning international experience, even if it's not a lot, that's worth a lot. It is, and youth is worth a lot. I just think there's too many factors.
Yeah, I mean, Ricky Puig is still young too. I think Ricky Puig's situation was a little different though. Obviously, Almada coming from the Argentine big like Barca, you know what I mean? It's a little different. Ricky Puig was kind of thrown in with the Wolves and Barca, and you know what I mean. He wasn't established as Pedri or Gavi necessarily, but I mean definitely the Argentinian league is definitely easier than La Liga for sure. But Ricky Puig also played really really well his first year in MLS. But I'm not saying Almada is not either. But I think they both can probably go for give or give or take, it'd be like a 5-10 million difference or about the same. Because Ricky Puig has been playing really, really good, and I think he just needed like a less, you know what I mean, like a less competitive league than like La Liga or even just smaller club than Barca. I think he could have thrived at like a real Sociedad in La Liga or something like that.
Yeah. He
So
needed a time to marinate.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he definitely seems like one of those
I
type
think
of players.
I think some clubs might rate the fact that he came from Barca and he pushed for first team minutes. I think, and then the fact that he comes over here and tears it up. It's just a matter of like the emotional part, the off the field stuff. I think a lot of people were worried about, like how much does he care? How much is like? I don't think that'll be an issue. I don't know. It's tough to tell. I think, oh, man. I guess it really depends on the club. Like I could see a club like Chelsea, like spending more for Pooch than they will for Almada, but I could see like I don't know, a team in La Liga paying a lot of money, whoever it might be, paying a lot of money for an
And speaking
Almada over Pooch.
I think Enzo Fernandez is a perfect example of like what I just said. He came from Liga NOS, which is the Portuguese league, and now he's playing in the Prem, and he's not living up to the same hype he did in the World Cup or in Liga NOS. He's just not finding his footing in a way league than you know what I mean? So I don't know. It all just depends, really. I mean, some people just got it in different leagues than others, So I don't really know. It's hard to say what the future brings, but as based on their live performances right now, then yeah, I think they could definitely go off and be sold for a lot more than they were bought for. But it's just a matter of are they going to thrive where they go necessarily? So
Yeah. Nonetheless, I think it's great that MLS has even got to the point where it can be a launching pad for teams. Like that was not the case 10 years ago. Like no one would even think about coming here in like your early 20s. Like
yeah,
you
it
would
was
think about maybe going to Brazil, maybe
higher.
battling out in Netherlands, like or in Portugal, but
Yeah,
like
the
the
good
fact
old
that you're gonna have that.
Eredivisie.
Yeah. But let's switch over after all the games have now passed. Last night was the final game with Portland versus Kansas City, which actually was a really good game. I don't know if you
Yeah.
guys had to watch that one. Which team should you be? This is an overreaction, obviously, but which team do you think should be the most worried after week one?
The
I already
most
have mine in
worried.
mind.
Ah, man, this is. I have a couple that I'm thinking of, but off the top of my head, I would have to say Columbus.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think they performed very well. I know Philadelphia is the class of the field in the East, if you ask a lot of people, but I still think that was a poor defensive performance. I mean, 4-1. I think that they're going to be a little leakier. I don't think they're going to be the same team that um, the hometown fans. They have very passionate fans. I don't think they're going to have the same season they're used to, which is kind of interesting because they've been very good and they still have some good players. But I think they're in a very interesting year. I don't think that
And
they're
traded
the
for
worst.
Wilford Nancy.
I don't think that they're the worst team, but I think that they deserve to be talked about because I don't think they're going to be as good as in the past. I think they need to be careful. It's a long season. They could definitely turn it around. I like their coach, but That was not a good first game for them.
Yeah. I watched the highlight. I went back and watched the highlights. I didn't get a chance to see the full replay, but from what a lot of people were saying was that the first half, actually, Columbus looked like the better team. Then in the second half,
They
things kind of
dominated
fell
possession, but they didn't do much with it.
apart. Yeah.
I mean,
Especially with the
like, and
lethal
yes, you can
killers that you have,
argue the
like
2 penalties,
Zellerion
but
and
I'm
Chicho.
sorry, but like, that's part
I
of
heard
it.
a lot of people were upset about those penalties. Like, you take those penalties away.
But whatever, it's still 2-1, and their only goal's an own goal.
And, oh
Arguably.
my God, did you guys see that? Oh man, who was it? I don't remember who made the play, but they passed it off to Carranza. Carranza finished it, but man, that move that was done for the fourth goal, he just absolutely spun on 2 defenders and then passed the through ball to Carranza, and he just buried it. That shit was insane. I sent it in the group chat to you guys.
Yeah. Philadelphia
that
are
was
looking
class.
good.
That was
But I think Columbus, they're a good team, but I just think that the beginning of the season, with the new coach, they're not going to get as many points as people think, and I think that the East is much closer now, so that could hurt them in the long run. I think it'll be close for playoffs, and that's why I think they should be worried, because I think they need to understand that the playoffs are going to be very tight to make it. All the points count. Every game is going to be a tough game.
Tyler, who you got?
Mine's actually a tie. I'm going with, believe it or not, I'm going with DC, and also not even trying to be biased, but Montreal. Just by last season, Montreal, I mean, obviously one of the better teams in their conference. But I mean, just playing us, for example, like they thrashed us with a way better squad, in my opinion, from last year. We had obviously Higuain, I know he was out the door, healthy Campana, stuff like that, Pozuelo, and now we have potentially our 4th-string striker scoring on them, and we beat them 2-0. And it's just like, you know what I mean? I don't know. Obviously we still have the same coach, stuff like that, but we just have a lot of new pieces, and they may not have the best chemistry together right now. So I don't know. Montreal just didn't look like the same Montreal from last season at all this past weekend. Obviously, we know Philadelphia is the cream of the crop. That'll be another test for Inter Miami. But, yeah, I'm going to go with DC or Montreal for sure.
I think DC is a very interesting one. You can argue
Yeah, I was
that
going to say
they,
DC.
you can
especially after the
argue
performance
that you can make that argument that they snuck out the win. They were lucky to get it.
Insigne out. Insigne got hurt.
Yeah, I mean, it was, Insigne getting hurt too. But Montreal, that's a good pick. I definitely, you could argue that Montreal's in a worse position than Columbus, definitely. But
Yeah.
I just thought, that it was worth mentioning. They got Montreal's coach now. So Montreal is definitely in more of a rebuild than a lot of teams. They're very much, they're going to be struggling, especially considering their first performance. Their coach needs to rally the troops, because they had a good system last year. They
Yeah.
did, and that's why Columbus got their coach.
I know, obviously,
No, yeah.
we have the inside scoop at the stadium because we worked there, but obviously where I was compared to where you guys were on Saturday, I mean, I pretty much watched the whole
You
game
saw the whole game.
finish, so I just didn't really see I didn't see no spark from Montreal. I didn't see no kind of drive. Like, they were just playing defense the whole time and no offense. I think they had one shot early on, like that was actually like I think that had potential to score, and then all the other ones it was just easy for Calendar. He got every
Oh yeah,
corner.
one of them was a calendar mistake too.
Yeah, that's true too. But you know what I
I
mean?
remember that.
He recovered, but other than that, it was like I think Calendar played out of his mind, and he saved every corner possible. He caught every single corner, if I remember correctly. And yeah, like Montreal literally was just playing defense the whole time, like the whole game. Like,
That's one of Calendar's strengths.
I'm with Tyler on this too. I think my team to be
Montreal.
worried most of is Montreal. I mean, I know here coming into the game, you hear a lot of people said, yeah, they were able to retain 8 of their starting 11 from last year, but I mean, you lost some big pieces though. I mean, you lost Jordi Mihailovic, who was in the league for the Golden Boot race. Now he's in Eredivisie. You lost. I have it right here too. You just lost Kone to Watford. What I can never say that. Watford. Why I'm fucking it up. You know what I mean. And then you lost Alistair Johnson to Celtic. So you lost some big name players. I know were able to replace right back from Alistair Johnson, but like losing your top guy, and it's an aging squad. So I think it is the oldest squad in the MLS.
I mean,
and then I'm not high on their coach Lasada. He came from DC and a failing DC team before Rooney came in, and he was sacked middle of the season. And he's known for playing a pressing game, like playing press a lot. And with that squad, you just don't have the speed. Like I said, you that midfield is aging. All that whole team's a year older, and I felt like even though I like their squad, I felt like to play that style that manager wants to play, this is just not it. And that's how Wilfred Nancy was able to make the best out of who they had. I mean, you still got Romeo Kyoto on Montreal, who is a underrated lethal striker for them, but he's not having Jordan Mihailovic on the other side of him, who's able to kind of take off those defenders. So, I mean, unless they can do something big in the summer transfer window, which I don't see happening, Montreal's not really known for that. They've done it a few times. And with the system that doesn't fit the players are aging. This might be a really down year for Montreal. And that's kind of like Montreal's always been kind of like my second team. Like I've always kind of like had interest in them, but this is not the year for them. But anyways, so we're going to do some rapid fire game predictions for week 2, and then we'll head into the top 5 leagues. So I'm going to pull it up here. Let's give each other our thoughts and opinions on what we think. We're gonna go. So we're gonna start off. So we didn't get to see El Tráfico.
Hold on.
El Tráfico.
So we didn't get to see El Tráfico because of the Rose Bowl. That was supposed to sell out 90,000 people, but due to inclement weather in Los Angeles, they had to delay the game.
Which is freaking crazy, by the way. I think that's
crazy.
Just for a minute worth talking about that they have to cancel a game in Los Angeles because it's raining. But if you talk to people from LA, they're like, when it's raining like multiple days in a row, like it has been, it's like Category 5 emergency. Everyone lock themselves in their house. Like it's not built for that. It's not. No, so that's crazy that even happened. But we digress.
Because my business partner lives over there, and he's like we had a foot of snow like down the street in LA. He's like, we had a foot of snow, and on top of that, like you're saying, with the rain, they don't have like the same soil that we have in Florida.
It's
like
dry.
This soil,
it's so dry.
It soaks it up. So there just slips right the fuck off. It just
it's really bad.
Anyway.
Really bad.
Let's go into the first game. So we're going to see LAFC for the first time versus the Portland Timbers. So let me scroll it up a little bit. So we have home, tie, and away. The home team minus 230, the tie plus 350, and an away plus 490. I'm assuming the home team is Los Angeles. That's kind of confusing.
Well, I'll double check just to make sure they're doing it like that. Yeah, I believe that it is. Yeah. Well, actually, no. Oh yeah, it is.
Okay,
it's
so no.
Yeah.
So top is home.
They changed the name. I didn't know they changed the name of the Bank of California Stadium. It's not that anymore, so I got confused.
Yeah, it's BMO.
I was like, wasn't there something called a BMO Stadium already? I don't know.
I think the Toronto one's that, actually.
That's why I was confused. I was like, wait a second. But I think it's correct. I think the top team is the home team. Yeah.
Okay.
Top team is a home team.
So I'm going to go. Portland's coming off a decent showing. They're warmed up. Los Angeles still going to be trying to figure things out. You're still missing Chicho, which was a huge hole that they need to fill. But I'm going to go tie. I'm going to go with plus 350 with a tie. It looks like they have the advantage to LAFC, obviously, because they're defending champs. But I think it might take them a minute to get into it. And I think Portland having that extra game helps. I'm going to go with tie.
I actually agree with you. I think this is I think with Portland showing and LA not having their first match because of the weather. Yeah, I think this sets up perfectly for Portland to, a nice 1-1 or even a
That
or even a
DP
0-0. I
Evander.
don't know. I just see it being like a nice low scoring draw.
That new DP for Portland, Evander he came from Belgium League.
Yes,
I remember he actually had some looks coming to Miami, but never ended up falling through. But he didn't look so great last night, but he's a really good player. He has some
I think
amazing
Portland in
ball
general
handling.
are underrated, especially
So
this
Tyler, who
year.
you got?
I mean, I agree. Portland definitely underrated, but I don't know. LAFC is usually always the cream of the crop, whether it's Eastern Conference, Western Conference, just the whole MLS. I'm going LAFC. I mean, even I think without Chicharito, I mean, you got Chiellini, you got
No, not Chicharito.
oh
Wrong, LA.
LA Galaxy. I'm sorry. Yeah, but yeah, I don't know. I still think LAFC just with Vela and all that, just the way they play, it's just full on just attack, and I just feel like teams just can't keep up with it.
All right, let's go to the next one. New York Red Bulls versus Nashville. Man, Nashville worries me. They have no one up top outside of Mukhtar. Have no one up top outside of Mukhtar. I'm gonna go Red Bulls. I thought when Red Bulls played Orlando, they were the better team. Orlando just eked out a win, and New York couldn't finish. But I think I'm gonna take New York. I think Nashville's gonna have a down year this year because they don't have the attacking presence up top outside of Mukhtar.
I agree, but I don't know. I think Orlando are always that team. They time and time again, we feel like, you can look at their games, you feel like they weren't in the game and they sneak out a result. And I don't know. I don't really like that from New York. I feel like they should have been able to put the game away. I think that if you're going down to who's going to put their chances away, I think you have to take Nashville. I could see how it wouldn't go that way, but that's where I would lean. I just think Nashville are slightly more clinical than New York.
Yeah, I agree too. Nashville already, I don't know, just with Mukhtar and all them, they already handed another New York team a loss last week. So I don't know if Henri's playing for the Red Bulls, I'll go all Red Bulls all day. But I'm gonna stick with Nashville on that one too.
Man, I'm the only one taking the favorite. All right, let's go to our hometown team, Inter Miami versus Philadelphia. Plus 200 for the home. Plus 200 for the home. Plus 250 for the tie. Plus 110 for the away. Inter Miami home, Philly away. I'm gonna go tie. I really liked how Inter Miami looked and their passing was very well. They passed very well. I think they can go toe to toe with them. I like us defensively. I thought Kristoff and McVay are going to turn into a very, very good center back duo in the MLS. Those guys are really good.
Yeah.
I like the biggest thing that's going to come up with Miami is can you finish? I feel like even last week we had kind of not very clean goals, even though they won 2-0.
Yeah. I would agree.
You scored one off of a corner. And then another one was off the post, off a defender, and then finally in. I still feel like Miami's still missing that playmaker. I would love to see Duke in starting, but I know they're going to start Stefanelli. But I think no matter what, Inter Miami's a team that can eke out at least 2 goals. And I think defensively, we're pretty sound. I like the new left back. We have Negri. He looks solid. Yedlin. I feel like Yedlin's he's not
still
who
an
he was.
international player. Still consistent though, I feel.
Yeah. He's
And
not
also,
like amazing, but he's not like great either.
Also too, I'm gonna go first, Adam, if you don't mind. But yeah,
go for it.
I agree too. I think for sure we could definitely get a draw with Philly. Obviously Philly has our number. I mean, they have Lowe, who I don't even think played last week, but if he does happen to get some playing time against us, we've seen, you know what I mean? Like, I think we know Lowe's flaws, how he plays and all that. So, but I don't know. Also, Pizarro looked really, really good too. If Pizarro plays the way he did in week 1, I think for sure we could definitely like keep up with Philly in a way. But yeah, like you said, I think we just need to have better clean goals. Miami's always kind of been. I feel like we've always been kind of known as like the team that may pull away a win just from like fluky goals in a way. But I think as long as we establish like early on in the season, like clean, good looking goals, I think we can pretty much keep up with anyone for the most part. We looked really, really solid week 1. And so I hope going into week 2, playing another like decent team, especially being Philly, like probably the best team in our conference. I think for sure we could do it. As long as our players perform the way they did in week 1, we're fine.
Yeah, I'm in a similar boat. I think that we definitely in our first game we showed the potential that we can compete with anybody if we perform. I just don't think that the team, is still a bunch of new pieces. I don't think we have the chemistry, especially defensively, to hold off Philadelphia. I think it's going to be a competitive game. I think Philadelphia will probably win by a goal, though, if I'm being honest. I think defensively it's going to take more than a couple games for the pairing to really get that synergy.
Yeah,
and I got you. I can see that.
I hope
Yeah,
Phil.
I mean, I think we're going to be good. I think we're going to be competitive. I think it's too early to be saying yes. So I'm going to give Miami the win, or even I don't know, even a draw. I think is a little ambitious. I'd be happy with a draw, but I see Philadelphia winning this game slightly.
Yeah, and I hope Phil, like if our defense falls apart, whether it's the left back, the right back, but I don't really think it's Yedlin, so I'm not going to say right back, but the center backs or the left back, I hope Phil kind of makes that adjustment or subs them off and puts some like even someone like Mabika who's 6'5", he at least you know what I mean like
and he's played last season, so
yeah
we could
quite a
I
bit
wasn't high on Mabika, honestly.
I think he's got potential. I think he's got potential. I don't think he's ready.
I like
but
Sailor more. I think Sailor.
Really, that's interesting.
Yeah, I Mabika played a lot last season, a lot, and I think he looked solid in more games than he looked worse. But I
agree.
But I mean, just him being tall and just having that presence of someone that can like win corners and headers and all that. I think Mabika. I think this is the time for him to get some playing time against a team like Philly, for sure.
See, I really think who's going to win this game is who wins the midfield. I think if Miami can win the midfield and keep possession and be able to create chances, that's it. I'm hoping Joseph, he looked shaky the first game. If Joseph can, it's probably going to take him a little bit because he hasn't played in a while, but like hopefully next game. It looks like Campana's out. I just saw like a couple hours before we started recording.
I saw.
He's going to be week to week, and so most likely not. So that also worries me a little bit.
I heard 6 weeks.
We'll see, man. We'll see. Either way, I do like our depth. It's solid depth, and hopefully Martinez can step up and when we need him the most. But let's move on to the next game.
This is going to be an interesting one.
I think it's kind of a poo-poo bowl.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But it's interesting to pick. You got a New England who just came off a 1-0 victory against Charlotte, who are in now their second year. And then you have Houston Dynamo, who just lost at Cincinnati 2-1. So, I mean, you got one team with the 3 points, one team who has none. But, it's just you can't be convinced about either team. They're both. I don't think either one would make the playoffs.
They're both rebuilding, honestly. They're both rebuilding. I love Carlos Hill. Carlos Hill, former MLS MVP.
I mean,
I liked it.
I'm going to just pick New England because of that. I mean, I think he did play good against Charlotte. He's their guy. If he plays good, he can help them. I don't think
New England knows how to create keepers too. As soon as Turner left, now I forgot his name, but the new guy who's starting a keeper for New England is like already starting to get looks at Europe again, which is pretty wild. And then I think tactically, Bruce Arena is just a better manager. So I'm gonna go New England. Obviously Houston paid a lot for Hector Herrera, but I don't think I'm gonna go New England for the win.
Yeah, this is like you said, a straight doo-doo bowl. So I'm not gonna throw so much in here, but Houston sports are ass unless it's the Astros, which they cheat anyways. So I'm going.
Yeah. Even on a soccer stream, we gotta let them know the Astros cheat.
All right, let's go to the next one. Let's try to do these a little quicker. Columbus at DC. I'm gonna go Columbus for the win. Think Columbus is a stronger team. DC, I think, kind of eked out a win against the injured Toronto, and we don't really know how good Toronto really is. So I'm going Columbus for the win.
Yeah, I agree. Like I said, I think Columbus. I do think that they are not the same team as last year, but I think DC. They'd still have more time. It's clear what they want to do with Wayne Rooney as the coach, but like I said, they barely got the win. I mean, it was good for them against Toronto, but you just I don't see how you can pick DC in this game.
Yeah, I got Columbus too. Wayne Rooney obviously being one of the best strikers ever. I just feel like he doesn't have someone that he can like coach properly to be like
Got an old Benteke.
yeah, Benteke, who wasn't even for him to begin with. But I think if Wayne Rooney had someone like young, I think DC could be lethal in attack. But I got Columbus too for sure.
All right, let's go. Orlando versus Cincinnati. So this is a good game. Orlando obviously coming off a hot offseason. Everybody thought they won the offseason. Picked up a lot of incoming younger transfers, and but it looks like they still need some more time. They, like we were saying, like I don't think they played very well against oh my God, Red Bulls.
Yeah, it just seems
and
like
I think it might still take a little bit versus FC Cincinnati. To me, is a sleeper team, a sleeper title contender, like supporter shield team. Like they got real talent. It's just a matter if Brenner's going to leave or want to play. I know he really wanted to transfer out to Europe, but it didn't go through. Cincinnati wanted to keep him. I don't know how that's going to work out. They were able to win this past week. But I'm going to go Cincinnati. I like Cincinnati. They're a more cohesive team. They know each other more versus Orlando. Yeah. Even though they have a lot of talent, they still don't really know each other well. Yeah. So they need to find out because they got Champions League.
Yeah. I'm going to pick a draw for this one because I think this is the same, even with the new signings, this is kind of the same Orlando as last year, I feel like, where they, can show that they're not the best team but still get a result. So I feel like at home against Cincinnati, I think it'll be kind of a similar story. I don't think they're going to win, but I think they're going to be able to hold out for a point in front of their home fans. I still don't rate them that much, especially in the early part of the season. They have some work to do. But I don't think Cincinnati are, as fluid yet to just walk into Orlando and take the dub. They definitely can do it, but I'd pick a draw on this one.
I agree. I got a draw for that one as well, for sure. I think Brenner's still a little salty, obviously, about not getting transferred. And
yeah.
Well, I mean, he can't stop now. I mean, at this point, he has to keep on.
Yeah. No, I know.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, but man, I love Acosta and Vasquez and Brenner. Those three up top are just so deadly. They can just rack up goals week in and week out. All right, let's go to Atlanta versus Toronto. This, I think, is going to be a pretty interesting game.
Yeah.
I'm leaning Atlanta's the favorites. Toronto winning is the second best option, and tying is the least likely to happen, which I thought is kind of crazy with the odds. But I'm actually going to take that plus 340 for the tie. I think this game's going to end up in a tie. I think Atlanta, as much as I love Almada, I think the rest of the team, they did sign a new DP striker from the Greek DP striker. They're kind of going through a rebuild phase right now, trying to kind of figure things out. And I'm going to go tie. I think it's going to be like a 1-1 draw. I don't think this is going to be a super pretty game. Outside of like something crazy that has happened, but
I could see that. I'm gonna pick Atlanta. I would assume Insigne is not gonna play, so I think that affects them. That was part of their whole thing and why they weren't so good last year. It's because they knew what they wanted and they got it late in the season and they knew it was going to take time. And now that they lost already first game in injury and they got to start hitting replacements in there, you got a fiery Atlanta crowd and a hot Thiago Almada. I think is just going to carry Atlanta. I think he'll still carry his good play, and I think they're going to get I agree, low scoring, gritty game, but I think it's going to be a slight win for Atlanta.
I mean, yeah, the reason I was like, because you think Almada scored at like 90th minute.
Oh,
and
yeah,
then,
of course.
and then off of a free kick. So they went like 90 minutes with no points.
Yeah.
And I think Bernadeschi's going to get his. He's
a great player. He's a great player, but
well.
I think that team. I think Bradley's the type of coach. He needs all his pieces. I don't think he's very creative when he doesn't have everybody he wants in the lineup.
And I do not like that Diomande guy. I think he is not very good starting at striker for them.
I just don't rate Bradley as a coach. I never have.
That's Michael Bradley.
That's just me. Yeah, Michael Bradley. I don't rate him.
For me,
I really don't.
I cannot stand Michael Bradley or his dad. They're both fucking straight knuckleheads. But honestly,
I'm surprised. I can't even believe that Michael still plays. He's like, yeah, you're good for that central
old
midfield.
As hell.
It's like,
he holds them back.
He does.
He holds them back.
And I just think that's why I don't like Bob Bradley as a coach.
But for me though, I think even with Insigne being injured, like Julian said, Atlanta went 90 minutes without a point. Almada, yeah, he was obviously put the team on his back, but he scored 2 goals in the 93rd and the 96th. So it's like, I don't know. And I think Bernadeschi and all of them are gonna get theirs for sure. I mean, they come from European clubs. You know what I mean? Like they have, I don't know. I just feel like they have more spark, more like better experience. So I got Toronto in that one, believe it or not. But yeah, Atlanta, I don't know. Just you go 93 minutes without a goal and then just so happen to get another one in the 96 just off of stupid fouls. I don't know. I'm not convinced yet.
All right. Let's do Austin FC versus CF Montreal. This is easy for me. We kind of already talked about these two teams, so I'm just going to say Austin.
Yeah, I think we all agree. This is one of the few that we're all going to agree on. Montreal, right. I think we know are one of the worst teams in the league, and Austin, even though they lost, still think that they're a top team, playoff contenders for sure.
All right, let's go to Dallas at LA Galaxy. I'm actually going to go Dallas on this. I think Dallas is a solid squad. I like them a lot.
What'd you think about their loss though to Minnesota?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm not. It's not a game that I'm worried too much about. And Dallas finished 3rd in the West last year. They've kept a lot of the same players. I think Jesus Ferreira, he still has something to prove. I think he's another one that he could be out potentially this summer for sure by next year. I think LA, I just feel like with the whole organization as a whole, it's just been kind of a shit show the past few years. Obviously, I don't know if you guys saw they're not going to have they got some sanctions where they can't participate in the summer transfer window this year. So I think that's really going to hurt them late in the season.
Absolutely.
I think Dallas is just a cleaner team. So I'm gonna go Dallas with the win.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with you.
And they've already played. And they already played too. I think
I'm gonna agree with you. I think that Dallas loss to Minnesota was a bit of a fluke. I thought that they controlled the game well. They didn't have
Minnesota's not a good team.
Yeah, I know. They didn't have many shots on target, but I think that's just, it was just one of those games, and it's harder to explain, but you see it when the team has all this possession, but they can't seem to really, get anything that challenges the goalie. I don't think that it's a huge problem for them. I think that against a LA Galaxy team that's playing their first match of the season, I think they'll be fine, and I'd pick FC Dallas on this one.
What's up, G's? But I'm taking FC Dallas as well.
All right, that's another doo-doo bowl. We got Chicago Fire getting their first game of the year versus the reinvigorated New York City. This New York City that has lost literally everybody. This is not the same MLS champion New York City from 2 years ago.
I honestly feel like walk on and play at New York City. Like half of our fan ambassadors, I swear, I feel like we could walk on and play at New York.
Chicago too. Chicago obviously just had two
you get
big
us fit enough for 90 minutes, you're probably right. That's our only issue.
Chicago did make a lot of money this offseason, selling Gaga Solina to Chelsea and John Duran. Where did he go? Where did he go? I'm John. He went to Aston Villa. That's right. For about $20 million, which I thought was pretty surprising. He is 19 years old and he scored 8 goals. Man, I'm gonna probably go with Chicago home team. I think New York's gonna be really bad, and Chicago. I mean, you still got Shaqiri. So
yeah,
I think they're just a little bit more talented as a whole. They haven't lost as many players as New York has, and you're coming home.
I agree. Chicago's probably slightly better. New York's just in a full rebuild. They're just a completely different team. Chicago, with Shaqiri coming into his second year, you'd think that he'd be a little bit more comfortable. I'm not saying that they're a great team. Yeah. I'm not saying that Chicago Fire are a great team, but you would think that they have more talent than New York City, especially at home.
I forgot about Shaqiri, but I got Chicago 1-0 for sure. I totally forgot Shaqiri was there.
I know, right? It's that's why you'd have to hope that in his second season he does something, or else looks like it's just a huge waste of money.
I used to actually like Shaqiri in the Prem a lot. I used to like when Shaqiri was in his prime. Like he had a really good year one year, and I actually used to like Shaqiri. But I don't know, he fell off. He went to France, fell off.
He just scores. He just scores bangers. That was his. It was his reputation. Yeah.
All right, let's try to run through these quickly so we can get to the top 5. So we'll do St. Louis versus Charlotte. Man, I St. Louis, like we were talking about, I like the hometown team coming home for the first ever game. I'm going St. Louis.
Yeah, I think those odds are very interesting, but St. Louis,
those are interesting odds. Yeah,
huge fans behind them. A big win on the first day. How could you not take St. Louis? It could definitely go the other way, but I just don't see how you'd want to take that bet.
I don't know. I want to take it, but obviously the crowd, the spark. But I don't know. They also got very lucky against Austin due to Austin's dumb mistakes. But I will say they did hold their own against a well-established team like Austin. But I don't know. I still got to take Charlotte too.
All right,
interesting.
Let's do Colorado versus Kansas City. To me, what was that? Ooh, shit. Okay. I'm actually going to go with the away team. I think there's some money to be made here on the plus 230 for Kansas City. I think Kansas City actually looks solid. They had a terrible time finishing, but also that Portland keeper went off last night. He was insane.
Definitely.
I think Colorado did spend some money, but
I don't think they're there yet. They're just, I mean, they came off a pretty bad loss to,
and they probably have the worst owner
Seattle.
in the league.
And I know it's
Kroenke.
Seattle. Yes. Oh my God, the Kroenke. Yeah, I mean, you think he doesn't care about Arsenal? He definitely doesn't care about Colorado.
All he cares
more
about is the Rams.
The Rams in SoFi Stadium.
The city on that one for sure.
But you gotta you could talk all you want about Kroenke, but I mean at least Josh seems to give somewhat of a shit about Arsenal, so it's helping us this year, and we'll talk about that later. But I don't think Colorado are a very good team. I think Kansas City are definitely improved. They looked good against Portland. I think that definitely Portland, their keeper was insane. So I think Kansas City was. Yeah, I think Kansas City got this. I don't think Colorado can compete this year, at least not in the early part of the season.
All right, we got San Jose Earthquakes versus Vancouver Whitecaps. I don't think San Jose is going to have a very down year, but the odds makers have them going to San Jose. I'm going to go with Vancouver on this one.
I got Vancouver.
That's interesting. You could argue that San Jose could have, aside from Almada, could have won the game. Yeah, you know what? I think after that, they're probably defeated, and I think Vancouver can show up to San Jose and recover after their loss to Real Salt Lake.
All right, and then final game of the week is Seattle Sounders versus Real Salt Lake. I actually like the Sounders. Sounders, I think, are back. I think we all kind of forgot about the Sounders because they just
They
kind of
took
fell
the
off the
year
face
off.
of the earth.
They took the year off.
They
We got
took
to
the
admit
year off.
that. They did take the year off because they needed to make history and become
And you know
the
what?
first
It was
MLS
worth
team.
it.
And it was worth it. You can't say that they were, but they were not there for the first half of the season. And if they were there for the whole season, they would have made the playoffs at least. So they're back, and I think that they have to be considered a contender this year.
Yeah, for sure. That was the first year they missed the playoffs too in their history.
Yeah.
But definitely worth it
like
to
I
go to
said,
the Club World Cup and represent represent the league in the country.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Seeing a non-ironic Seattle Sounders versus like Liverpool or something like that is like, yeah, it's not a friendly.
Be the cream of the crop.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Well, let's switch over to across the pond. And let's start with Man U. So Man U just won the Carabao Cup. Man U's been on a little bit of a hot streak. They just beat Barcelona in the Europa League as well. They just won in the Prem. Do you guys think they can catch up to Arsenal and Man City for the title race?
I think they
People are
have to
saying
be considered.
Casemiro's the best Casemiro we've seen in a while, and that he's playing better
Absolutely.
now than he was at Real.
I think so. I think you have to consider them part of the conversation, because you look at Arsenal, you look at City and the games that they had, the games that they've lost, and you look at the games that United have won and the games that they've lost, and you feel like they're in the same boat. Will they win the league? I don't think so. I don't think they had a good. I think that the way the league's gone this year, I just think that even if Arsenal choke, I think it just would be City or Arsenal at this point. That could definitely change. You've seen crazier things happen, but with their form and with the way they're playing, I mean, let's not forget they beat Arsenal early in the season when they were considered not there yet, and Arsenal were considered, oh my God, they can't lose a game. So you have to consider them as in the conversation for the title. I don't think that they're going to win it though. I think that City and Arsenal are two better choices.
So, coming off of that,
He's gone. Coming off of that.
Right. Oh, there you go. Okay, he's back. He's back.
He's back. That was such great timing. And we can't hear you
Yeah,
either.
we can't hear you. Can't hear
So
you.
you might have to figure that one out.
Anyways, I'll
so
go.
You want, fill in while he figures it out.
Yeah. So I mean, I think they can make a push, but I think Arsenal just has it in the bag. I think they've been kind of unstoppable. I think they're just going to keep on winning. I think
well, what do you think?
It's going to.
Let me
It's going to
ask
be
you
competitive.
this.
My gut is just saying Arsenal is just not going to take the foot off the gas. Like they're not going to let him catch up.
What do you make of Arsenal's past? I guess you could say flubs. You know, they lost to City, they lost to Everton, a bad Everton. Do you think that's a sign that they're going to choke, or do you think that's just a hiccup and they're allowed bad games the way they've been playing?
I mean, you can't. I mean, you have to look at it as a hiccup. I mean, at the end of the day, you're still at the top of the table. I mean, when was the last time you say Arsenal's at the top of the table pretty much all year round? So I don't know. I just there's something I couldn't tell you exactly. I just feel like Arsenal's not going to. I think that they understand what is at stake and what can happen, and you cannot let a Man City come back and get you. Especially because I mean, we were roasting Man City at the beginning of the season. They did not look good. They had the whole Ronaldo drama, but they've turned it all around. But I think during that time, and you know as well as anybody, like in the Prem, like you can't have down periods. You have to keep on going if you want to win the title.
Absolutely, and that's why it could come down.
I think that's going to hurt them.
There's always every team who doesn't win can always look at one game or two games where they're like, if we had just held on, or if we had just got that goal, it would have been so different. So you have to think about every game like that. And one of the things that definitely impresses me and that I've never seen before with this Arsenal is the mentality. Players like Zinchenko, who come into the squad their first year and come and basically tell everyone, no, we can win this, and makes them believe it. And that's the difference, I think, is the fact that he and Arteta, especially Arteta, you have to give him credit, has this team believing that they can take on anybody, and that's where their form has come from, and their lead has come from. They've shown some signs of maybe not handling the pressure against City, but you know, I believe with a game in hand, they're still 5 points clear if they win that. That means they can lose to, if they wanted to, they could lose to City. If they were going to hold the other games, lose the other game to City, and they'd still have the lead. So they're in a good position, but it's tough as an Arsenal fan to just be like all in onto it. But it's getting later and later into the year. Soon it's going to be March tomorrow, and it's like, well, sheesh, we're still here. It's very weird. It's very weird.
Can you guys hear me?
Tyler, we got you back. Yeah, we got you.
We got you
Okay,
back.
all right.
It's your turn.
All right, I don't see you two on the video, but anyways, so
Don't worry about it. Just go.
Yeah.
It's working.
Y'all could see me though?
Yep.
Yeah, we got
right.
you.
So for me, obviously, United didn't find their groove early in the season. They're still in the potential to win the coveted quadruple. They can win the Prem. They already won the Carabao Cup, and then they can win the Europa League and all that. I think honestly they have a great chance to win the Europa League. As far as the Prem, I think they just found their footing a little too late. They're not many points behind, but I don't know. Ten Hag, he's honestly just doing it with a group that you would have never pictured to be as well as they are. I think for example, City earlier in the year, Haaland was playing out of his mind, and now Haaland kind of fell off. And then now you look at Rashford, who has 27 goals across all competitions so far for United. And I don't know. I think Rashford right now is probably the best striker in the world. I mean, he's just finding the back of the net like no other right now. And so I don't know. I think as far as United winning the Prem, I think it's a little too late. I know they're still top 3 right now, or top 4, one or the other, but I don't know. I think Arsenal and City are gonna have to drop games I don't know. They're gonna have to drop 3 in a row, or maybe just draws even, for United to have a chance. But as of right now, no, I don't think they could win the Prem. No, but I think they could still win a treble.
As it stands now, Arsenal's 57, Man City's 55, so only one game behind. Man United 49.
Yeah. So United's 6 points.
Arsenal has a game in hand. Yeah.
So I was right. So if we assuming we win the game in hand, it's a 5-point lead.
Yeah. So United's 6 points behind City. And so, I don't know. That's 2 games. But then again, you see Arsenal, City, and even United too. They are dropping points to very easy teams that I think they should win those games. So
you
I don't know.
Can't say it's over yet because of that.
Exactly. So I as of right now though, just being 6 points behind second place, I think United really has to close out these games against teams that they should win easily. A team I don't know, Burnhamouth or that's a team you need to beat hands down, no questions asked.
Well, let's talk about a team who can't beat teams they should beat, and that is Chelsea. Chelsea's slide continues. What do you guys make of this slide? Who do you think's at fault? Is it the players, is it the manager? Is it the front office? Who is at fault when it comes at Chelsea?
I think it's a little bit of everything. I think starting with the owner, American owner, obviously he comes from American sports, and I feel like he's just thriving off of shit like the NBA, for example, where you could just buy the best players and think that it's gonna work, and that's not the case. Obviously
You're still here.
Oh,
Okay.
keep
Okay.
losing it.
Tyler's just struggling midway
We're
through the
having
episode.
struggles.
All right, you go ahead.
Yeah, I would put most of the blame on the board because I mean you got to look at you can't put the blame on Graham Potter. I mean he came into this. It's no different than it was. I mean they really are just blindly throwing money at the problem. They're just like who like I mean you look at people joking about how they're just kind of hijacking Arsenal's transfers. They're like, "Oh, you wanted Mudryk? Here's $100 million," and it's still not working for them because they're just kind of coming at it from the wrong angle. They're not trying to build a squad. They're just trying to put flashy names on the field and hope that one of them can carry them to a victory. It's not gonna work. I mean, they just lost now 2-0 to Tottenham. Tottenham not having a great year, but yet there's this Chelsea, no problem. It seems like
they're in
anybody.
Champions League contention.
It seems like anybody in this with Liverpool and Chelsea not performing, Tottenham, they just have to be decent and they can get the Champions League this year. I mean, that's the kind of season it's been. But Chelsea, yeah, they it's going to take them, I think, more than a season to turn this around. I think they have pieces, but pieces thrown onto the field randomly and not connected is just not going to work.
Sorry,
I think. Go ahead. All right. I think Potter is to blame at some things. I mean, at the end of the day, you shouldn't be losing to Southampton and tying West Ham and tying Fulham and then like losing like you did to Tottenham. Like with the talents you have, I do think, I think all you guys are, I think it's a combination of everybody. It's like the players not playing to what their potential is. I think João Felix has been kind of up and down. To me, and Tyler doesn't agree with me on this one, but I actually think Enzo Fernandez has been playing pretty decent. I think just the cast around him and it just hasn't been like great, but he's also been rating really well too. So, and it's also kind of funny that. Yeah, we got you.
Okay.
And I also think it's funny too that João Felix actually has the goal of the month, but yet it's the only goal in the entire month of February. So,
I mean, that's kind of what they're dealing with. They got the talent, but they're not connected. They're not a squad. They're just high-paid players wearing the same jersey.
But you don't think Potter's a part of that, though?
So
I think
at some point he might be. At some point, I don't think he's the right decision. I don't think they should have even gotten rid of Tuchel the way they did. I don't think they should have even been in this position. So it's hard to say, is it Potter's fault? Well, that's tough because I don't even think he shouldn't even be in this job. I think it's a shit show all around.
That's where I was going with Bowley being an American owner. I got a phone call and I told them to text me because the phone call interrupts my thing, but I'm good now. I shouldn't get interrupted no more. But yeah, Bowley being like an American owner and all that. And then firing Thomas for Graham Potter, who Graham Potter obviously before Chelsea he was with who
Brighton, right?
Yeah, Brighton, Hove, and Albion. Yeah, and I don't know. Graham Potter, in my opinion, has always just been a terrible manager. I didn't really understand that, like firing Tuchel, who just won you a Champions League, and then you bring in Graham Potter, who hasn't won shit.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. You look at the team.
Yeah, it didn't really make any sense to me at all.
Very much helped win that Champions League. He was behind that for sure.
It really didn't make any sense at all. And then Chelsea too, like I said, they're just signing. They see a player does good, they sign them for a boatload of money, and then they turn out to do nothing because Graham Potter obviously can't manage. So I think honestly, the everyone to blame is ownership, the manager, and somewhat of the players. Me personally, I never saw the hype around João Felix. I never thought he was as good as his price tag, even when he was.
And that's what I was talking about with while you were gone for a second. It's like I don't think he's played super well. I mean, he's been kind of like up and down.
Like no, but I mean, he has that goal of the month. It was a great goal, but it's just
even at Atletico, his contract I think was like 100 mil, and I don't think he's worth like that at all. I mean, that's like City signing Grealish for 100 mil. I don't think that was worth that at all. Like, I don't know what they see in some of these players sometimes, but João Felix being signed to Atletico for 100 mil was 60 million more than what I would have paid for him, in my
I mean, you,
opinion. So
you
I
got
don't.
you got to look at, and I know we already talked about this, but you got to look at Arsenal and how like Chelsea. So look at Chelsea. They hijack Mudryk, and Arsenal go, okay, we'll get Trossard, way less money,
Yeah,
and has been
and
great
Trossard
for them. He's
Trossard was having.
Premier League
Yeah,
proven, and fits into the team and kind
yeah,
of we already know what he's doing. We saved and just imagine like what if we spent like 80
yeah.
million on Mudryk
And,
and then he
and
was
that's what I
another
said
Pepe.
earlier too when we were talking. Like,
Their mentality for these signings has changed. You can't just throw money at a problem. You have to say this is who I want and
exactly,
this is why. And
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 that's
the
like
same
and that's
thing with
like I said
Jorginho.
earlier
They
about
they didn't
Ricky
want to give
Puig, for
Moises
example.
Caicedo, so they get Jorginho. And Arsenal fans are like, I don't know. This seems bad. It seems like another old Chelsea reject. And these past few games, he's been playing out of his mind. He's playing with effort. He's
Yeah,
not the prime Jorginho, but he's playing. He's sure as hell trying to be. And you
yeah,
have to make those signings. You can't just throw money at a problem. You have to go for somebody who buys into your project, who wants to be there, and who can fit with your team and your players. And throwing money at players from random leagues just because they were playing good and worth a lot of money, it's not always going to solve your
yeah.
problem.
And that's what I'm
Chelsea's
Yeah,
saying.
I was
Like,
gonna say,
and that's what I said earlier too. Like, sometimes those small players, you sign them for just a little bit of money, and they turn out to be really really good. And then you know what I mean. It's like I said about Ricky Puig earlier. It was just a kind of a shitty situation for him. But
Yeah,
it's just like sometimes they just don't work in a bigger league, and I feel like that's like Mudrik's problem, for example. But a lot of those Chelsea players just don't have like Prem experience. And like you said about Trossard, he was never like a highly rated winger going into Arsenal, but it's like he already had Prem experience. So he knows the game, he knows the pace, he knows how it's all played over there in England. So it's like you know what I mean? Like Chelsea, like I said, I feel like they're just trying to be like Golden State Warriors. They're just buying the best players possible and just hoping it works.
yeah.
But
yeah,
but I think Graham Potter is the sole. Like I feel like he's trying too many different starting lineups. He needs to do
he's
like
not helping the
this.
situation.
Yeah,
Yeah,
not
he's
at
not.
all. Like
He's not.
he's doing way too many different starting lineups. He needs to just establish one, do it for like a couple games. If it doesn't work, then switch out the piece, like the people that aren't performing to their expectations, and that's it. It's like Man United, for example. Ten Hag didn't start Ronaldo. He was bringing in Ronaldo off the bench, which, you know what I mean? United struggled a little bit early on, but he gave it a chance. He added Casemiro into the mix, and then he's been running the same lineup since then, and it's been
Yeah.
working. That's my point. It's just like I feel like Graham Potter's not trying to like really figure out what's working. He's just kind of just hoping it works. And
Yeah, he's like
okay,
he's
fuck
like a
it.
chicken with his head cut off right now,
Yeah,
just trying to save anything.
pretty much.
yeah. I mean, what do you guys think? I mean, I think Adam brought up, but Tyler, you're going to say something about Enzo Fernandez. Like, how do you think he's been looking? Though?
So I mean, you know what I
I
mean?
think
Like
so far he's been playing the best over the past
Yeah.
month. Like,
I agree. Yeah, he's definitely been performing the best as far as the team goes. I don't really watch Chelsea anymore because they've been like kind of shit this season. They're just, you know what I mean, they just have so many like good pieces that they just managed to pull out like against shittier teams, like, you know what I mean, like Aston Villa, stuff like that. But that's why they're so high on the table still. But even like, I don't know, Koulibaly, I've always loved Koulibaly. I thought Koulibaly was one of the best defenders in the world whenever he was on Napoli, for example. But
Yeah.
like, but
I was scared of that
Enzo,
transfer when they made him. But it's like it's so weird to think about. Some of
yeah,
these transfers. Like there's so many players on Chelsea that when they signed them, I was like, ooh,
yeah.
ooh.
But
And now it's like,
as far as Enzo, I will say, yeah, he has performed the best on the team. Like
yeah,
I think even like his ratings have been the highest rated, but still I think he's one of those players, like I said, like a Grealish type of player, stuff like that, where his price tag just is ridiculous for coming from Liga NOS, like, and just like, I don't know, that price tag is ridiculous to me. I would not pay that for someone that has no Prem experience, and all he did was he did good at where did he come from? Lisbon, or he came from I think Benfica, and then
He came from Benfica, yeah.
yeah, he came from Benfica, which he was doing good. He did good at the World Cup, and then it was like, oh, okay, let me just throw 200 million at you. I know that's not what it was, but I mean, it was still high up there. I think he's the highest paid. Like, I think he's the biggest signing in Prem history, which that's nuts to me.
yeah.
I'm sorry, but there's just no way.
Yeah. Well, one thing that is nuts was that VAR call, how it wasn't a red card in that Tottenham game. But
Yeah, it's like, all right, dude, okay.
but
Yeah.
we'll end it there. We'll switch it over to the Bundesliga. We'll talk about Tyler's Bayern Munich squad. Just took over first place on the table, took down Union Berlin. Sadio Mane makes a return. We talked a little bit about it off camera, but the fact that the Bundesliga actually looks pretty competitive this year. But now with Sadio Mane back, Tyler, do you think that it's pretty much locked up that Bayern's just going to take it again? Or do you think Dortmund will have something to say about it? Or do you think Union Berlin can make a comeback? They're only down 3 points, and then Dortmund and Bayern are tied right now.
So I agree. Like Bayern, me being the Bayern fan, like I think our table right now is the most entertaining for sure, just because it's so tight. But I think also another reason why too, I think it is a little tight because we didn't have Mane for 5 months. We don't have Neuer the whole year. But Summer has been a really, really good signing too as well. Summer's been playing really, really well. Even in the Champions League against PSG, he was doing phenomenal.
He's always been solid in the Bundesliga.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, he's not Neuer. He won't be Neuer, but for where he came from and just like the performances he's put on since he's been on our club, in all competitions, Champions League included, which I think Champions League was like his high point so far against PSG. And you add Mane and Mazurai back into our starting 11 now. I think, yeah, now Bayern's going to come out, and I think this is when we go back to just kind of dominating the table again. Because before, like, don't get me wrong, like with Mane out, Choupo-Moting was stepping in. Choupo-Moting has a lot of goals coming off the bench. Choupo-Moting's putting up great numbers, even at his age. I think he's 36 now, 37. And then we had Pavard out there over Mazurai, which Pavard's not bad. I do like Pavard. Obviously, he's been World Cup winning team before, stuff like that. But I think, yeah, adding Mane and Mazurai back is just, I don't know. I just don't think the other teams, like, I mean, they'll definitely still make it competitive, but I still think Bayern wins it for the 13th year in a row. So.
Yeah, I just have to agree with you because you look.
I mean, look at Liverpool, for example. Not to cut you off, but look at Liverpool, for example. They lost Mane, and honestly, people always did say Mane is what made Liverpool so good because everyone's like, no, it's Salah. And then look, Mane's gone, and now Liverpool's not doing shit. I mean, obviously that's Jurgen Klopp's fault too, but I mean, Salah's not the same Salah he was 3 seasons ago at all.
No,
Mane, exactly. He's a big piece. So you have to think that he's going to carry them, the rest of the way. But the fact is, you look at the league table. Yes, it's very close, but look at the, it's close in everything except one in goal differential. You look at that.
I was just trying to bring that up.
You just look at that, and it's like, oh, plus 15, plus 40. Oh my god,
40 plus 43, and that's
the kind of stuff for anybody watching who's ever played Football Manager. That's like the kind of thing that happens mid-season when you're not really ahead in the table so much, but you look at your goal differential and you're like, I'm gonna be fine by the end of it. It's just not working out right now. By the end of the season, you win by like 20
that's
points.
The thing.
That's kind of what it seems like.
And that's the thing with Dortmund. Just they can't let, if they want any chance of winning this title, like they cannot stop. They have to keep on going. And you're going to have to
Dortmund-
win
and
the
I think
Dirk, and you're going to
Dortmund's
have to win the
biggest
Dirk
problem-
Classic. Like
you have to. I think
because you can't tie on points. That goal differential is so massive, and it's
Yeah.
such big
there's
advantage to Bayern.
Yeah, the tie. I think if it's a tie, it's Bayern.
Every game matters to Dortmund. I mean, it always has, but
But I
especially
think
ties
the
go
goal
to Bayern at
differential
this
was
point.
obviously because our front three was Gnabry, Mane, and then we had Sane out there on the left, and that's what was just making. I mean, it's literally just
a
nothing
lot
but
of A's.
pace. We're
It
just
is.
killing
And
them
you
with
guys
how
are
fast-
going to get back to that. You guys are going to get
Exactly.
back to that. So I don't see any worries for Bayern. It is very
Exactly.
competitive.
And
It's very interesting from a
Dortmund always had injuries
general Bundesliga
too.
standpoint, but I don't see why Bayern would drop it now, especially with Mane coming back.
Yeah, I don't think we dropped that at all.
All right. Let's move it over to Spain and La Liga. Obviously, we had a big derby matchup. Madrid derby came in. Pretty entertaining game for me, at least. Obviously, Real Madrid, the young 17-year-old scored in his first game at Real Madrid. I thought Real Madrid was a little... You can tell Real Madrid, to me, at least over the past couple of weeks, you tell they're putting a lot more effort into Champions League this year. I think they kind of feel that the La Liga title has kind of like got away from them a little bit, even though, I mean, we'll talk about it in a second, even though it looks like Barca might be leaving an opportunity for them to come back. And we all know Real Madrid has the capability to do that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And now looking back at this derby, how important that would have been to get that win. You would have brought it in within 5 points with the Clásico coming up, and an injured Barcelona. But even with 7 points behind, I still think you have the opportunity.
Yeah, I don't think it's over
but-
yet. I think it was a big loss, and if Real Madrid don't win the title, you have to look at not getting 3 points here. They lose out on three big points against Atletico at home.
Yeah.
Especially against a 10-man Atletico, you have to think like, yes, I feel like there's a chance, but you have to feel like if Real Madrid were going to take it and we're going to win this league, they would have to do it in this game.
So for me, this is the El Clasico question, right? I'm sorry.
No, this is
We're on the Madrid derby
Madrid
first.
derby.
Yeah, that just happened. The 1-1.
Okay. So yeah. So, you know what I mean? Obviously, Real Madrid not top of the table in La Liga. That's a little bit due to the fact Benzema's out, stuff like that too. But I mean, it's
He
Los
played this
Blancos.
game. He was in.
Yeah, I mean, but you know what I mean. It's Los Blancos. You know what I mean. Like they just have always been the team in Europe. I mean, honestly, Real Madrid, I think they could care less about winning La Liga. I'm sure they want to, but I mean, they play Champions League football at the end of the day. You know what I mean? I think that's their main focus.
Yeah,
as of
especially
right
if you
now.
look at Barca and their European endeavors.
Well, and that's what I was saying.
Madrid has to feel good.
Well,
Especially Real Madrid being the defending champions too in Champions League, stuff like that. You know what I mean? I think Real Madrid, end of the day, they could really care less about winning that league. I mean, I'm sure
People
they always
underestimate how
want to.
big of a Champions League that was for them post Ronaldo.
Yeah, but you know what I mean? Like Real Madrid has always been the cream of the crop for the Champions League, the most Champions League titles obviously in history, stuff like that. So you know what I mean? Like, it's just I don't know. Like Real Madrid also already won the I forget what the Spain domestic cup is called.
Del Rey.
Copa del Rey. They got that coming up with the semifinals with. Yeah.
Well, they already beat Barca for the Copa del Rey for that trophy. So, you know what I mean? I think like, and then obviously another El Clasico is coming up, like with Barca and Real Madrid, and you know what I mean? So I don't know. I think obviously Real Madrid getting Benzema back too, they could definitely pull this out. But I think that's the only reason why they're not top of the table is due to Benzema's injury and him not playing the games that he didn't play. So
and I love Real Madrid's midfield. I mean, Valverde had a game against Atletico. I mean, I think Atletico played solid though. At the end of the day, I
They
mean,
did.
yeah, you could say
With 10
you
men
could
to
say
be
that
able
they
to get
didn't.
that to get the goal first, even though they let up one, I still think that was a good
Mm.
result for them. The way that
I
the
thought
end of the
Griezmann had
game
a
ended up.
solid game
He
with
did.
the
He
assist.
did.
I thought Oblak had a good game in net. Um, so I'll give Atletico that. They've had kind of obviously they got bounced out of Champions League. They haven't since after winning the La Liga title a few years ago. They've kind
Which
of been middling in that top 3, 4, and they're not really
Agreed.
as competitive as they were.
they
Challenging
had
Barca
manager
and
changes too, though, stuff like
yeah,
that.
yeah, of course. But nonetheless, I also think it's a great story to see what's the new guy, Alvaro Rodriguez, to come in there and score.
The equalizer at the
Yeah, score
85th minute.
the
Yeah.
Yeah, that is good for them. They're
that's huge. And obviously, we all
they're
know Real Madrid is really, they buy big. I mean, they always have buy big at young talent, and they have no. That's the one thing I will say with Real Madrid. They are not afraid to throw young guys out there at all.
Yeah, you could argue that the youth coming out of Real Madrid has been better than Barcelona recently.
Yeah, and Barcelona is known for the La Masia,
Yeah,
like
and
it's
yeah,
La
exactly.
Masia. I mean, and Ancelotti is to me he's the best. He's the best manager in La Liga. I think he's going to outclass Xavi. He just is.
He is.
But we can actually transition to Barca, and we could probably end it on this topic, and then we'll bring up Champions League next week. With that coming up,
That's a good idea.
So Barcelona, as we kind of briefly mentioned, just lost a big game that honestly could have sealed La Liga for them against Almeria. I don't know what Xavi was thinking with this lineup. It made no sense to me. I watched the game and I'm like, what? As soon as I saw the lineup come out, I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, this is your opportunity. You've already got bounced out of Europa League. You have nothing else to focus on but winning the La Liga title. Like that.
And now they're not playing any. And now they're playing any kind of European Championship next year. Like they're not even in Conference League next year. So that's another thing too. Like,
well, I mean, if you win the La Liga title, then they're back in Champions League. But
we're talking for the rest of the season. We're talking they got nothing.
Yeah.
Like they're out.
So it's like you're only
they can't get a trophy. Period. Other than La Liga.
They're not. They're done. It's La Liga
or Copa del Rey, which I don't think they're going to beat Real Madrid with the injured lineup. So they're probably going to get bounced out of Copa del Rey.
Yeah.
So all you have is a La Liga title, and then you throw out Garcia and you pull out Araujo like in the defensive line, and then you take out Koundé. It's like, well, what are you doing here? Like, I don't understand. And they just got exposed. They didn't look good. It didn't make sense to me. And now, like I said, like you're 7 points behind, you're 7 points ahead. So now with Real Madrid, like that's leaving the door open. And like we previously said, like it looks like Real Madrid is fully focusing on Champions League. But I think that's because they thought the La Liga race was out of the question. I think now that they see that the door is opening with an injured Barca squad, because you now have Dembele out, you have Ansu Fati out, which he's always injured. You have Pedri's out, and now you're coming up against a team of Valencia
and Lewandowski's out.
Yeah, and Lewandowski's out, and you're coming in against a Valencia squad who needs a win, who is in relegation battle right now. Surprisingly, not so surprisingly if you follow their ownership, but giving their history, it is surprising, but nonetheless, it's like the Everton of La Liga. I was telling you guys last week, they're like the Everton of La Liga.
It really is. Yeah. It really is.
It's crazy though, because Valencia is one of those teams that you never see. Like they're always a mid-table like La Liga team for the most part. Like,
I mean, in the early 2000s, they were fighting for championship and titles, and they won La Liga. One of those years.
Yeah. They used to be good, but I'm saying like just like the past like.
Yeah, it's a Singaporean owner. He just like the owner's wife coming out saying that we can do whatever we want. Like you can't criticize us or whatever. But that
not
doesn't
the way to do it.
That
Not the
doesn't
way to
fly
do
in
it.
European football.
No, it does not.
But nonetheless, you have a team like Valencia who just came off of a huge win against Real Sociedad, who's
Yeah.
currently in a Champions League match. And I mean, look, you underestimated Almeria, who was also in a relegation fight right now, and they won. And now you're coming up against a Valencia team who is riding high and needs these wins. I can see Real Madrid. I would not be surprised if Barcelona loses this game. They shouldn't.
If you're a Real Madrid fan, you got to be happy with what's going on right now.
They have a $300 million salary this year, and like you're getting bounced at everything. And to Xavi, I already think he should probably go. I mean,
I agree. I think he should too. But yes, I know where you're going with this. If he chokes the lead, that's it.
Oh, if he chokes the league, he has to go.
Has to go.
He has to go. The only thing he has going for him was the league, and you half-assed it. You could have put it away with Almeria. You literally could have. You could have put it away. 10-point lead.
I think that's another thing about Barca. I think that's another thing about Barca too is I think they tried trusting too many like of their past players to come in and manage the team. Like before Xavi was Ronald Koeman, who was a past Barca defender. Like they just try, you know what I mean? Like they're just trying to stick to their roots way too much, and it's just not it. Like even when Messi was like in his last couple of years at Barca, I remember Barca was fumbling games to teams like Real Value Deed or however the fuck you pronounce it, and Real Sociedad. Like,
it's like
just teams that they should thrash, and
it's almost like they don't want to let go of their golden era. Like they have one, you know like they have one finger on it, and they just don't want to let go. They just want to maintain.
They bring in too many homegrown players from their past to come in. And I think that's mainly from the success of Cruyff, because Cruyff was the one that like was the former Barca player and then managed Barca and like established Barca as like the world's best team like during his era. And then ever since then, it's just been like, oh yeah, let me just bring in our past players, and it just hasn't worked.
Yeah.
And it just like they just have to like change it.
And the thing too is like if you're a Barcelona, like how could you? I mean, obviously the La Liga title matters, but like at the end of the day, you want to win Champions League. Like that's the end goal. Like you want to win Champions League, and you haven't made it out. You've been sent to your Europa League, and not even making it to deep in Europa League. You're getting knocked out in like you lost to Frankfurt last year, and now you lose to Man United. Which, granted, Man United is probably. They're playing at a Champions League level currently, so that was a tough match.
Oh, and then Frankfurt had more tickets sold to their fans than Barca did. That's another thing too. Like, you know what I mean? Like Barca is just like in total shambles the past. Ever since Messi left, I don't know what's going on.
That was the downfall. I mean, that was just it right there. I mean, you can.
And the thing.
He was keeping them together. But that goes to show you how good Messi was keeping them together. Because they probably would have... You talk about the games that they fumbled when they still had Messi. Think about if he left earlier, if he was gone not so good earlier, you know, not performing like that. If we would have been talking about this much earlier.
And you know what's crazy too is like they've been doing it pretty much all year, and it hasn't worked. I mean, it's working against lower level La Liga teams that you're beating up on, but anytime you face any real competition, they spot out is playing through the wings, man.
I mean, they just get exposed. They get exposed.
And now especially with Dembele and Rafinha were your main guys, especially Dembele running down the flank and crossing it in. Now he's gone. They couldn't play through the middle, which is so crazy to me when you come being the coach of Xavi. Like
a midfielder,
who and during his time played through the middle with Iniesta and Fabregas. Like it's crazy to me that you're playing through this wing and then you're just whipping it into Lewandowski.
Yeah. And then
what is he supposed to do? He's 1v3'd and you're crossing it in constantly.
They're like, here.
And that's another you know better, and you know Lewandowski. You two know Lewandowski better than anybody. Like when he was playing at Bayern, he was getting fed, not through constant crosses and wing play.
They give him all over. Yeah, they got
Yeah.
Muller behind him, and yes, Lewandowski gets himself in good positions, but he's not going to score if they're just triple teaming him and he's the only one.
Lewandowski
because Pedri
Because
wasn't getting in the
Bayern
box.
didn't do that at Bayern because they had other threats. Muller could score. He wasn't just a facilitator. They had other guys who could always score. So you couldn't just focus on Lewandowski.
He needs his back to the goal and the ball at his feet, and you need to let him do what he wants to do.
And that's the thing. Like I don't trust Gavi to score. I don't trust Pedri to score.
No, you don't.
Rafinha's got a nice like outside the box shot, but how often does he really ever hit that? I mean, and then you have Busquets, who looks like the dude is running in mud, and you really don't have anybody behind him. You can tell.
And they want him to come to Miami. No thanks.
Oh my God, I do not want him.
No,
I mean, if it means getting Messi, then so be it.
That's another thing too. Like, why is Sergio Busquets, who's 36 and literally looks like he can't play anymore, starting over someone like Franck Kessié, who's young, who has established himself for a few years now that he can play very well. Like, I don't understand. That's another thing too about Barca. They're doing such weird like lineups, and they're doing such weird, like they literally just don't change their style.
Like, look, this was. I mean,
you're the Barca fan, they literally just play on the outside of the wings. They have Pedri and Gavi just pass the ball to the right or left wingers, and then they just whip it into the box. It's like it's so predictable and it's so easy. And they've been doing it for years because Bayern has knocked them out of the Champions League the past 3 years in a row. And now you're in Europa League and you're still doing the same exact shit you just did 3 years in a row to Bayern. Man United obviously fucking found out your weakness. And
Ten Hag's not going to figure that one out.
Yeah.
When they're playing the way they're playing.
Frankfurt did the same shit too. Frankfurt found out your weakness and exposed you for it. I mean, it's like you're just letting these teams just throttle you because you don't want to change anything. Like, I'm sorry, but Busquets should have been out of the starting lineup last season.
Yeah.
I mean, the dude looks like I was watching him Man United, and it's just he looked like he was just in mud.
But Barca signed all these players, and then they don't even use them. Like, why are we taking Koundé out?
Bro, look, they put Gavi on the wing against Almeria.
It just doesn't.
I'm looking at the lineup. They had Gavi,
all these players, and then don't use
Torres.
them.
To me,
why is
the player I love
not playing? Like, Kessié
he played last week.
No, I know, but he should be playing over Busquets every single
week. They played him with Busquets.
Yeah, they played him with him. Honestly, the one I've enjoyed the most is De Jong. Like, De Jong is just, to me, he's your most consistent, best.
De Jong took a pay cut to stay there because he was going to go to United. Ten Hag wanted him. And he's like, no, I'm going to take a pay cut to stay. And I'd be fucking pissed. You're out of Europa League. You barely are winning La Liga.
Yeah, I'd be done.
It's like this dude just stayed and you're like fucking him pretty much. Like, you're not doing anything to help him.
And he's playing solid. He's the only one to me that I feel like he's actually progressing.
He plays at the same. He plays at the same intensity and same level every single time.
Yeah, and his intensity is awesome.
Week in, week out. Yeah, week in, week out. You will get the same performance from Frankie De Jong than anyone else on that team. He will be so consistent for you because no one else has a chance though because they don't. Because they're not starting every game. Like Koundé, Araujo, Arejo, Koundé, Jordi Alba, and someone else should be starting in the defense every single game. Like, there should be no other defense lineup. The midfield should always be Christensen.
I don't know why Garcia played. Like, if anybody's seen Eric Garcia, like, dude's fucking terrible. Like, I don't know why. I don't know why Araujo was not playing like that. Yeah. And why Sergio Roberto was in instead of Koundé. Like, that made no sense. Like, finish them.
Yeah, Sergio Roberto. When was the last time I can't remember the last time I seen him play a game. Like,
it's like, bro, finish them. Like, you pay like 100 times whatever Almeria's salary is. Like, finish them. Like, they're not even in your league. You have nothing else to fight for.
Yeah, it shouldn't even be competitive. Plain and simple.
And now you find yourself in a situation where you have your best players, Pedri, Dembele, Lewandowski, all out, and you have to play Real Madrid twice, and the league's not locked. They have enough problems as it is, and now they got to deal with injuries, it's gonna be tough for them. It is.
And to be honest, like, I really don't get the Pedri hype. Like, I don't.
Neither do I. I never really understood it, to be honest with you. Like,
Yeah.
Like, he's not bad. I'm not saying he's trash.
Half
but
of
I
it's
feel like
because
everybody's making out to be like he's going to be the next fucking Xavi. Like, he's
half
like,
of it really is that he's like one of the highest rated wonder kids in Football Manager for the past like 2-3 years. So anybody who like manages on the computer knows that basically all you have to do is sign Pedri, and he's a goat. Like, I signed him for my Bayern career. He's great in FM. You know, they give him so
even in
much
the World
respect.
Cup.
but
Even
you know,
in
it's
the World
crazy to me
Cup,
because
he made
like,
no progressive passes in the World Cup for Spain. I mean, a lot of that I could say with Luis Enrique and the system that he ran, but like I don't know. I don't get the pet. I don't think he's terrible. I don't think he's bad. I don't think he holds back the team, but I don't think he's
I think as far as like
incredible
young
either.
midfielder, I think Pedri's like number 5 on the list, to be honest with you. I think like Musiala and Bellingham are like 1 and 2.
Definitely.
I think Camavinga is better than Pedri personally.
I do too. I do too.
I like how Camavinga's starting to get more time too. I do like him.
Camavinga. I think Pedri's like 5 on the list. So I don't understand why Pedri is starting over like other people like every single game. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously too. Like, I see they put Gavi on the that sounded like desperate. I don't know what was up with like not having Rafinha start. Like, that really confused.
He was at the
me
Inter Miami
as
game.
well.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that really confused me. But I don't know. I mean, we'll see. Obviously we got the Copa d'Oro coming up, and then the Clasico. But we can end it there, guys. We'll be around next week. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. So, how'd you guys feel about the first episode of Real Fans FC?
I like it. I think it was fun. I hope everyone else enjoyed.
I think we went in depth with all our topics. Stuff
We went very in depth with some topics.
Yeah.
So we'll clean it up as it goes on. But we got some big things to talk about. Next week, on the top of our list is Champions League. We have first legs are over. The second leg's coming up. So we have a lot to talk about with the biggest competition in Europe.
Yeah.
Get underway.
Well, if you guys don't know, you can find us on all the social media, same one as the previous podcast. So feel free to follow those: Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. And we will see you guys in the next one. Peace out, everybody.
Later, y'all.